Welcome to the only daily research news video report, your research business daily report. Well, we're sponsored today and this week by Nuance, offering multi-language verbatim coding services to help companies quantify the meaning of open-ended answers. Nuance, a decision analyst company. IBM bought Silverpop Systems last week. Why? In order to be able to reach its IT clients with a more refined marketing message. Silverpop pulls data from web usage, social networking sites, email, and other digital signals. Then it slots it all into a quote-unquote universal customer profile for email and text messaging. IBM says it's going to aggregate this service with a couple of others that it has also recently acquired. Yesterday was a one-day only sale for Google Glass if you had $1,500 to spend. Apple was happy to accommodate you as part of a test of the tool's consumer value. The Business Insider wrote about an Atlanta law firm that said it's testing Google Glass in its mock trials, putting them on the faces of jurors during simulations in order to see exactly what is drawing their attention. Now, while mock trials are a long way from real courtrooms, that Google Glass application, if it were to work out, would have many uses for market researchers in varied situations. Finally, what is Agile research and why is anybody talking about it? I've had frustration after frustration trying to figure out for myself what it is and why it has been bandied about. And finally, we were told, go talk to GutCheck CEO Matt Water. He says he emphasizes his business's dedication to Agile research in its project work when he meets a client for the first time and wants to differentiate himself. We asked Matt for more than a definition of Agile research. How about an actual explanation of where it came from and which clients can actually make use of it?
Specifically at GutCheck, we focus a lot on the concept development process and the creative development process. So when I talk about Agile, I tend to talk about it with that kind of mindset. And so how we think about Agile, we think of it as kind of a pragmatic, iterative approach to get to an answer. So when we have a research question here at GutCheck in terms of kind of, what's the best creative idea or what is the best creative execution, we look at it as kind of an iterative process where we want to go out, talk to consumers, get some quick feedback from them, and understand why an ad's working and why it's not. And based on that feedback, we can arm our consumer insights customers and their brand management customers internally to iterate on those ads and change them, modify them to make them better. And then through that iterative process, they'll end up with an effective ad at the end of the day.
Did Agile have its birth in the research industry?
No, it was actually first came about in the software development industry, and I believe it kind of started around 1990.
And how did it come about there? What does it do for IT?
Yeah, well, the process for creating software wasn't a whole lot different than how the average research project is done today, in that from a software perspective, they use the waterfall approach, which is effectively an approach of gathering a bunch of requirements in terms of functional requirements that the software had to have at the end of the day. And then once the software engineers were armed with that, they would go back in kind of a dark room and pound away and build the product for a few months and then go deliver it to the customer. And what they found is oftentimes they'd miss the mark. So they would deliver over the product, and invariably the customer would say, hey, it's missing something here or missing something there.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is they're too rigid when you take that waterfall approach, that you basically are looking at it only from one or two perspectives rather than a wider, more diversified perspective.
Yeah, it gives you one point of collaboration with your customer on just the upfront part, and it doesn't allow you to take in new inputs from a dynamic market. Mm-hmm. So it's very rigid and it's not collaborative at all. And that's the opposite of that.
Is there any data to document what the impact of being agile is?
Yeah, on the software front, there's quite a bit. There's been some studies now done where they pitted the waterfall approach versus software projects that were done from an agile basis. And what they found is that the products were delivered in a timelier fashion, and it was around 40% faster, the software that was developed. And it was the people, the engineers that did it in an agile fashion were also more productive by a matter of 25%. And I think the key finding here that I think is really compelling, and certainly compelling for Agile market research, is the quality of the products was parity. So you have faster, more affordable because you're more productive and you're getting the same quality. We've always been an Agile development shop from how we develop our own technology here. And because we had that muscle memory around Agile from a development perspective, we started to see a customer or two of ours use our software in what looked to be an Agile way. And that's where we came up with Agile market research. Agile's, I think, misunderstood because, I'm not sure we've all done a great job of communicating it, but it's fairly easy to practice and to implement. And I think once people implement it, they understand it's really kind of a slight turn of the dial based on what they were doing before, and it's just more effective. We're looking for a certain kind of customer that is kind of on their toes, progressive and pragmatic. We tend to have the most success with those. And we've kind of found it a bit to be the opposite. There's kind of an interesting stat out there that only 89% of consumer-based decisions or consumer-facing decisions are made with consumer feedback. 11% are. And I think a lot of that is just because of the velocity at which projects move. And it's because consumer insights can't insert themselves into the process. And what we found is when we enable our consumer insights folks with speedy insights, they're collaborating with their brand managers and moving the projects along. So we found the opposite. We found that Agile and speed actually enable more collaboration in the process. We are quick to use the word Agile. And again, I think a lot of it's, we know what customers we're going to do well with, and we kind of have a feeling of who's going to be on their toes or not. And when you're on your toes, you're open to Agile.
My last question is something I should have asked at the very start. Am I the only guy who doesn't know what the heck Agile is in the market research industry?
Well, I wish you were you were the only one, but it's not the case. There's a lot of people that don't know what Agile market research is, but I can tell you it's gaining momentum. It's certainly gaining a lot of momentum on the marketing side as well. So I think it's a matter of time, and it's, I think, up to folks like us and others to educate people on the benefits of it.
We thank Matt for his time, and if you'd like to get in touch with him, his email is matt@gutcheckit.com. That's your Research Business Daily Report, sponsored by Nuance, offering multi-language verbatim coding services to help companies quantify the meaning of open-ended answers. Nuance, a decision analyst company. We invite you to check out this service. It can cover over 13 languages and everything from text files, handwritten text, and audio recordings to images. We've set up a link to the service at www.nuancecoding.com. Have a great research day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.